Her name was Dolores Vega. She was 53 years old. She had lived on Creston Avenue in Bridgeport, Connecticut for 19 years. She knew her neighbors. And for 3 years, she watched the house across the street. She watched the lights. She watched the hours. She watched who went in and who came out. And then she picked up her phone. The first call was in March of 2014. Dolores told the dispatcher she had seen a young woman, a girl, really being pulled through the front door of the house at 4 a.m. The girl looked scared. She didn't go willingly. The dispatcher took the report. A unit was sent. Officers knocked on the door. A man answered. He said everything was fine. They left. Dolores called again in May. She had seen the same girl in the upstairs window, standing there, not moving, just looking out. For a long time, the girl's face, Dolores said, looked like someone who had forgotten what outside felt like. Officers knocked. The man answered. He said everything was fine. They left. She called again in July, in September, twice in November. By the end of 2014, Dolores Vega had called the Bridgeport Police Department 6 times about the house across the street. 6 times, officers were dispatched. 6 times, a man answered the door. 6 times, they left. Dolores was not a troubled woman. She was not a busybody. She was a retired school cafeteria worker who spent her mornings on her front porch with a cup of coffee and her afternoons tending a small garden she kept in clay pots along the sidewalk. She had no history of false reports, no grievances with the neighbors, no reason to lie. What she had was a clear view and 19 years of knowing what was normal on that block. She began keeping notes in January of 2015. A spiral notebook, blue cover. She wrote down dates, times, descriptions of what she saw. The girl, the man, the car, the hours. She drew a diagram of the house, which windows lit up and when. She noted that the girl was never outside, that she never saw the girl leave, that in 3 years she had never once seen that girl walk down those front steps of her own free will. She called again in February 2015, in April, in June. She brought the notebook to the police station in August of 2015. The officer at the front desk took it, made a copy, told her someone would follow up. No one followed up. She called again in October, in December, in February of 2016. That was call number 14. On March 9th, 2016, a water main broke on Creston Avenue. City workers arrived at dawn. The block was cordoned off. One of the city workers, a man named Anthony Ruiz, noticed the house. He noticed that every other house on the block had someone look out a window when the trucks arrived, except one. He noticed the upstairs curtain, the way it moved, just slightly, and then went still. He knocked on the door. No one answered. He knocked again. He said he was with the city. He said he needed to check the water line inside. The door opened. What Anthony Ruiz saw inside that house led him to call 911 immediately. Officers arrived within 4 minutes. Inside, they found a 22-year-old woman who had been held in that house for 4 years. She had been trafficked. She had been isolated. She had not been outside in 14 months. Her name was Reina. She was alive. The man who had answered the door 14 times was arrested that morning. He was charged with human trafficking, unlawful imprisonment, and multiple counts of sexual assault. He was convicted 18 months later and sentenced to 31 years. During the investigation, detectives retrieved Dolores Vega's notebook from the evidence intake records. It had been filed, logged, stored, and never read. At trial, the prosecutor entered the notebook into evidence. The judge reviewed it. He noted from the bench that the documentation inside was, and these were his words, thorough, credible, and actionable. The first entry was dated March 2014. Reina had been in that house since 2012. The system had 2 years. 2 full years of documented, credible, consistent reporting from an eyewitness who lived across the street. 2 years. Dolores Vega testified at trial. She sat in that courtroom in a blue dress, and she read from her notebook in a steady voice for 40 minutes. When she was done, Reina, who was sitting in the front row, stood up. She didn't say anything. She just looked at her. After the verdict, the reporter asked Dolores how she felt. She said, "I feel like I should have knocked on that door myself a long time ago." She paused, then she said, "But I also feel like 14 phone calls should have been enough."